Quo pro quo. We, this is just precious. Let's put this up. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, back in the day, we used to ask the question about the Bush administration, stupid or evil? Stupid or evil? And more often than not, the answer is yes. Yes, stupid and evil. And I bring you Donald Trump's Trump administration White House talking points on how to deal with President Trump's call with President Zelensky of Ukraine. It starts with what you need to know. Oh. What you need to know. Press reports have given currency to flat-out falsehoods about the call. Myth. The president made a mysterious promise to Zelensky in return for Ukraine reviving an investigation relating to Joe Biden and his son. Fact. There was no such promise. The president wanted allegations of corruption potentially involving an American official to be investigated. Myth. Wait, who's the American official? Oh, I guess it was Joe Biden? Okay. The president offered a quid pro quo related to military aid for Ukraine. Fact. There was no quid pro quo. In fact, there was no mention of the aid package to Ukraine at all. I should say...
Demythologized.
The money was not showing up at the Ukraine. Like, it was supposed to be there weeks before, and it wasn't showing up. It had not been released.
It needed to be washed through a clean government process.
Question. You're expecting $400 million. It's not there. You're talking to the guy who is stopping it from coming. Do you need to hear about that money before you entertained the ask? Oh, incidentally, here, roll this down. You're asking, how could I get a hold of these things? I don't shill for the White House. Apparently, they accidentally emailed it to reporters and to Democratic House officials. And then, to be fair, followed up with a recall where they ask you to send them back. Please disregard those talking points that you just got emailed. There's more. I mean, but the talking points are fairly, you know, they're about as good as you could. They basically are saying there was no explicit quid pro quo. It just so happens that the money was withheld. The call came. There was a couple of asks. And that's it. You know.
I heard you're interested in opening up a new Yuck Yucks in Kiev. Is that true? Apropos of nothing?
I remind you, at the end of the conversation, Donald Trump just drops in, I think your economy's going to get a lot better.
Think it's going to get a little bit of juice.
Yeah. If you know what I mean.
You still having time to work out new sets at the clubs?
I mean, it is fascinating to see how it's done, right? I mean, and I imagine in the course of doing business like this, 8 out of 10 times, everybody is aware of what's going on. And there's 2 out of 10 times where the other person's just like, that's odd. I wonder what that was about. And I would imagine that 20% of times where the other party doesn't know what's going on, it's because there's maybe a broad cultural divide, or you can't possibly imagine that somebody would be doing this. And in
now you have your answer of why war with Iran.
Right, exactly.
These people, you sit down, you have tea, but first you say no thanks. Then you need to have 3 teas. It's too complicated. You can't just do a bribe efficiently. We do war.
It'd be nice if there was a deal that was like Obama's deal, but it was called Trump's deal.
And then they say...
And I think maybe your economy will get better, if you know what I mean.
Then the guy offers me a disgusting dessert. How am I supposed to follow up from that? Totally confusing. Totally confusing. Deeply unfair.
Pretty stunning stuff. This is going to be, and look, here's the reality of something like this. Impeachment is going to be difficult. And they already have like 30 lawyers working on this stuff. And if Rudy Giuliani is the point person on this, folks, it's going to be a little bit rough in that White House.
Definitely close up on the crossed fingers. I have my I am the least bullish of impeachment in this room, but I love the time consumption argument. And oh my God, if we could have Rudy Giuliani be like, yeah, you ordered a hit in 2004. I don't know what that's got to do with foreign policy. He's protecting Israel. Like, wait a second, Rudy, did you just say that you were aware of a hit that Donald Trump ordered before he went on The Apprentice? Well, that's what you say, and maybe that's what I said. But anyways, the point is Hillary Clinton's a bitch. Right. Thank you, Mayor.
There you go.
Yes, please, more of that.
Now, what is your skepticism? Are you skeptical that impeachment's going to actually pass, or that?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's not going to pass in the Senate. We already know that,
right?
So I'm ambivalent about how much time I want tied up in this in the next several months. I'm not entirely sure it's going to play out in the same way that you're confident will play out. But I'm also, I'm not.
You're not convinced that it's a positive in terms of the election.
Yeah. And I'm perfectly willing to argue with you on things. So this one is just genuinely like, I just don't have a strong feeling. So it could be. And that's obviously my hope because it's happening. Right. But
I don't think
I think some people felt very ecstatic about this, and we'll see. The one thing that I am 100% convinced of and very excited about, and I think the most salient thing to just keep hitting is the time consumption thing. That's wonderful.
Absolutely. But I also think that it's the right thing to do unequivocally. I mean, the guy has broken the law. If you're going to hold account, there's a reason why you get after Iran-Contra, after Watergate. I mean, these things continue to go on. You need to put down some markers as to what a president can and cannot do. Holding them to account on some level, it's not. Is it enough? No, it's insufficient, but it's necessary. A. B. I think what the Democrats have done is dodged a big bullet. And I think not impeaching Donald Trump was the riskiest proposition, because then you are basically saying to a lot of those people who voted for these House representatives that they wouldn't. There was nothing for them to do. Ineffectual. Like, we voted for you to be the opposition party, and you can't even impeach a guy. I mean, they impeached a Democrat for lying about sex in a deposition,
which
on
did
an investigation.
Backfire, and we don't want to bring that one up because that was stupid of them to do. But although it did mobilize their base, but I mean, look, totally. I'm honestly, my thing is that, and in the long run, it might have in fact helped them to play a kind of hardball. But my thing is really honestly just it's happening. So I hope it plays well. That's it.
Oh yeah.
I have my skepticisms. I might even have a little bit more of a sort of.
Well, that's what I'm
jaundiced
asking.
view.
What is the skepticism?
Well, I just kind of outlined it for you, but it's irrelevant. It's happening, so hopefully it'll work well.
Yes, and we'll get a better sense, I think, of like how the Democrats actually execute this.
That's also. I should also add that, and this is there's big picture institutional. How does it play with the bases ones, which I'm just less invested in now, as I keep saying, because it's happening. I am literally concerned on a performance level of have they learned how to manage this thing better? So part of this is spectacle. Will they do is it going to be the Mueller hearings, or is it going to be the one that we played a bit of with Lewandowski, where they actually handed it off to they're not going to literally hand it off to a council, but my point is that or they will. Okay, great.
Oh yeah,
good.
That guy's been hired by the Judiciary
Terrific.
Committee. He
Terrific.
and Eisenson, I think it is.
I don't want these things to be big, laborious duds. I want them to be clear headline, nothing that needs to be explained, nothing that needs to be overly elaborated. I want it to be simple, embarrassing, effective, and relentlessly on message if they're going to do it.
Yep.